Well, one thing's about Arsenal, they love them some FA Cup and they love them some Thursday nights in Europe. Stewart Robson is joining me as we talk about his former club. 4-2 to tonight over Dundalk in Dublin. Arsenal were already through, though, to the next round, Stu, but it was a chance for some youngsters, as Mikel Arteta said, to go out there and impress. So who impressed you tonight and what did you like the most about this Arsenal performance?
Well, they had a lot of youngsters he was talking about playing. They played a 3-4-3 formation. And then Nketiah played up front. Maitland-Niles came in at sort of left wing back. Smith Rowe played on the left-hand side of a front three. And they all did well. But yeah, it's difficult for young players. They're coming in and they're showing that they can play. But to go on and become first-team players against a side like Dundalk, you have to be almost an outstanding player. You have to be the best player on the field. And I think it's difficult to assess players, young players, in those sort of games, particularly when a lot of them are playing. It was on a poor pitch. It's a rugby pitch that they've been playing on, the international rugby pitch, against fairly weak opposition, it has to be said, in Dundalk. So even if you play quite well, what is Mikel Arteta going to get out of the game? I'm not sure he's going to get too much.
Well, somebody did get something out of the game, Eddie Nketiah. Let's stick a pin there because who'd have thought that we'd be talking about him right now as Arsenal's leading scorer in all competitions. We know the goal drought that Aubameyang has been going through now, and it is worrying some, especially when Arsenal can't seem to get things together when he's not firing. So isn't Nketiah the next plan B, I suppose, when Aubameyang and Lacazette probably aren't in tip-top shape?
Yeah, because Aubameyang, remember, for most of the time Mikel Arteta's been there, has played on the left wing. He's now been moved to the centre forward because he wasn't scoring goals on the left wing, and he was moved to centre forward because Lacazette wasn't playing well enough and doesn't look a goal threat. So when Aubameyang goes back out to the left-hand side, he wants to change the system, and Nketiah is a choice up front. He's got that little bit more pace than certainly Lacazette. He shows more energy when closing down, and he played well today. So that is an option for Mikel Arteta. Is he going to be good enough to take Arsenal to the next level? I'm not sure that's the case at the moment. He's a good player. But again, I say you've got to be outstanding week in, week out when you play in these Europa League games to get your chance in the first team. And then you've got to be one of the best players in the first team to take Arsenal to the next level. A lot of the Arsenal players, young players, are good players, but they're not great players at the moment.
Well, speaking of being outstanding, that's something that Arsenal got tonight, believe it or not. A nice little record. 9 games unbeaten in major UEFA championships right now. Away on the road, too. So clearly, as I said, they do love them some European football, especially on Thursday night. In the Premier League, not so much. And you'd say that the Premier League is your bread and butter. Is there anything that Arsenal can draw from what we've seen in the Europa League to probably help their case in the Premier League?
Yes, a little bit. Energy, effort, enthusiasm, closing the ball down, making forward runs. When I'm watching the Europa League side, with a lot of youngsters and a lot of players that are trying to prove themselves, if you look at the difference between Tottenham's Europa League side, that when they go out onto the pitch, they don't really show any sort of desire. It's almost as if they don't want to be there. Arsenal's young players and the players that aren't in the team at the moment want to show Mikel Arteta they're ready to play in the first team. So that's what I've been impressed with. Their attitude, their energy, their efforts, their work rate has been good. And that hasn't always been the case in the first team games, where it's been too slow a pace, the energy hasn't quite been there, the enthusiasm hasn't quite been there from one or two of the forwards. So that's what I would take from these Europa League games. And Mikel Arteta has to take that, the dynamism that these young players are showing.
But how does he fix that then, Stu? Because we're talking about the Premier League, for goodness sake, right now. Like I said, this is usually your bread and butter. So how can you not go out there fully enthused week in, week out, especially from the top main first team players?
Well, it comes from your philosophy about how you want to play. And I think Mikel Arteta has got to say, we've got to get the ball forward quicker. And as soon as you start making the players play the ball forward quicker, it means that front players have to make runs, and whether it's Lacazette, whether it's Aubameyang, whether it's Nketiah, they've got to run behind the opposition. They can't always have the ball into feet. The midfield players, rather than passing it square or back to the centre halves, have to make runs or have to look forward with their passing. And they have to try and beat players so they can get that little bit of time to play that forward pass. The back players, rather than playing square and around the back, have to look for forward passes. And as soon as you do that, that increases the tempo of the game straight away. And they have to start games like that rather than finish them like that.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.